Hey, welcome back to another Your Photo, Our Look, episode 12. My name is Matt Glaskowski, brought to you by On1, and all I'm going to say is On1 Plus is coming. If you're an On1 fan, even if you're not an On1 fan, go check out on1.com/plus. Right now it's just a coming soon page, but depending on when you check this, it may not be. But big stuff coming up, so just stay tuned in the On1 Plus world. And if you're into On1 apps, even if you're not, if you're in a Lightroom Photoshop photography, we've got this app/personal coaching/training thing coming up. Pretty cool stuff. So anyway, let's jump into our first photo here. It's a concert photo. And, cool photo, great. I love the expression and everything. Lights wreak havoc at concerts, and just get used to it. I mean, there's nothing that you can do. You're going to have all these different color lights. It's personally, it's not something that I even try to correct, because that's the atmosphere at the concert. So you can play with your white balance and stuff up here, but I'm not going to do too much to it. I'm really going to open up the shadows, try to bring out a little bit more detail. If I zoom in, it does start to get noisy. You could always head down here to the detail section and start to work on the noise reduction. Here's the thing: if this is a photo that's going to go up on a website somewhere, you're never going to see the noise. If you took it for a press release, for press purposes, you had a press pass there, and they want to put it up on a website, you're never going to see the noise. So who cares? Nobody's going to zoom in this much. And if you print it, it's still, a lot of this is going to smooth out in the print process, so I'm not going to go too crazy trying to get rid of all that noise here, because it will blur the photo a little bit. But you can mess with the luminance. All the color noise is almost gone by default, but you can mess with the luminance. It's just not something that I would bother with on this photo. All right, come back up here to basic. Whites and blacks, Option or Alt click. Kind of got a white point, that's the light back there. Option or Alt click on blacks, and drag it to the left. You got a black point here, a little bit of clarity just for a little bit of edge here. Sometimes I take the graduated filter and I bring the exposure up a little bit, especially when you already have some light, and kind of bring it in from the side, just add a little bit of artificial light there. So it's something you can do to add to it. But to me, a lot of what's left here is effect. You could crop this too. I could go to the crop tool, can maybe add a little bit more of a dynamic kind of an angle to it, crop out some of that extra area. So you could crop it if you wanted to, but really that's about all I would do to this in Lightroom. So let's go head over to Effects. And to me, this one's all about style. So there's a lot of things we can do here with style. I'm going to go into the presets section up here, and there's just a ton of things we can do. So if you went into, let's go into we'll go into the hipster. There's a lot of stuff in hipster. And if you want to see a bigger view, if you click this little icon up here, it'll show you a bigger view. So guys, there's just a ton of things that I could do to this here. Dirty Bird, silly name. Brandon, that's a cool one. That gives you a cool look. Dirty Bird is another cool one. It's got a little bit of a texture to it, so you can kind of see some of that texture on there. For this type of a photo, again, it's not for press journalistic purposes, I'd get really creative. If it's for press and journalistic purposes, you're pretty much done with what I did to it inside of Lightroom. But if you can get creative with it, I would. And then, the other ones here that I think look great are the faded matte ones. So let's go with the simple faded matte. And I actually really like this look for this photo, so I'd probably just leave it at that. We could always come over here, add a filter, and just throw a vignette on top of there. And if you go here, you can change it to the big softy. That'll just darken the edges a little bit. So this is before we got into effects. This is after. I'll hit apply, which will take us back to Lightroom. And now I can show you. Let's go take a look at the before photo. I'll hit reset. So that's our before photo. All right. And there's our after. Before, after. But there's a lot of, with concert photos, I think there's a lot of really creative possibilities that we have there. All right, let's take a look at this one here. So I'll reset this. Great shot. Love the great sky. I mean, a nice sky can totally make a photo. Love the pilings, a little bit of a longer exposure. First thing I do, go to crop tool, take my straighten tool and straighten this guy out like so. Probably crop it in. So that way I'm getting about 1/3 of the sky, 2/3 foreground. I love the S-ish curve in the foreground. It's not a great it's kind of muddy. So, you could maybe reposition yourself, try to include more water so you don't get too much of this muddiness. Go closer to these pilings and piers over here. So maybe they're your foreground. There's some stuff over here, but overall, just great color. Probably grab the graduated filter and bring the exposure down. Remember, exposure, highlights, shadows, those are the types of things I'm going to do in Lightroom. Okay, like so. That's looking pretty good. Honestly, there's not too much more. Go to my lens corrections, enable profile corrections, kind of remove some vignetting and some of the distortion there. But that's about as far as I'd go. Backslash key, that's before, after. So that's about as far as I'd go in Lightroom. Honestly, the only other thing, we'll jump into effects for this. I think there's some color treatments that we can apply to it, especially in some of the photo filter areas here. So we'll go up here to filters. And if you go to preset, I mean, the faded matte, I'm not a big matte person for matte. It doesn't make sense. I am matte, but I'm not a big matte look person for landscapes. I like to get that color. I don't want to mute it, but you can give it a try. I'll probably come down here to photo filter, and there's just a ton of different color treatments you can give to this. You can warm it up even more, right? Give it an extra amount of warmth, or you could cool it. Right, because this is after the sun goes down or at that time around there, so you do start to get some of those pastel colors in here. There's also the graduated warm cool, a little bit extreme. I love the mixture of the warm and the cool. I might come over here to the filter opacity and just drop it down, split the difference 40-50%, but that's a cool look. And then just add a filter, and you guessed it, we're gonna hit it with a vignette. Like so, and I like the big softy. There we go. Maybe bring the opacity down a little bit. Okay, so I'll hit apply. That'll take us back to Lightroom. Go to our before photo, hit reset. All right, come to our after photo. So there's before, after. Let's take a look. That's our before photo. That's our after photo. Again, before and after. As I'm here inside of Lightroom, I'm kind of looking at it, I know I reduced the opacity before in effects, but I might add a little bit of a stronger vignette here. Something just to subdue, and if I don't like it to darken the whole photo, I would definitely do something just to subdue the bottom here. Maybe bring in the graduated filter from the bottom. No saying you can't do that after the fact, works perfectly fine. All right, next two photos are from, I think, the same person. I think they were at some type of a medieval festival or something. This photo and this photo. So what I would say to this person is, I don't know that there's too much I would do to these photos. These are kind of I was there to document history, okay? You don't have to do a lot of processing on those types of photos. Now, if you're shooting for the event, shots like the woman that you see in here, great to capture the personality, people and everything like that. Maybe try to take her outside, get some depth of field, set her aside apart from her background. She's right in front of her background here, so it's all cluttered, but maybe get her outside and set her a good distance apart from something. But a lot of these shots, to me, as I look at them, are kind of, they're to document history, and we don't have to do a lot of processing to those. If I did anything to this, I'll do the same thing. I'll spend a little bit more time on the other one, but I'd maybe convert this to black and white, and as we get into effects, I would apply that type of an effect to it, an old vintage, oldish type of an effect, maybe even a border around it. I'll do it on this photo here so I don't end up doing it twice, but if I were, again, this is a documenting history type of photo. There's nothing we can do to remove these people. They're there, they're gonna stay there. If I could reshoot this, I'd say I'd want to crop way in like that. Even further, this is the photo we want from something like this. I try to position yourself to where the crowd isn't back here. If you did zoom in and you shot at a low aperture, what would happen is they would really blur out, or maybe find a different angle, get some emotion in his face. But that's the type, just keep shooting till you saw a little bit more emotion. That's the type of angle I would look for, even tighter. But that's pretty much it. I'll process this photo, but it's obviously we don't have the resolution to do it, so there's not much. All I'm kind of saying is what I would do to it if I could go back and reshoot. But the effects that I would apply to it, I kind of mentioned it. I'd go an older type of a style to it. So I'd go to the preset section, and maybe some of the black and white effects would work really good. So maybe even some of the film effects would work really good here. So we can go through something with maybe a border on it, just to give it a different type of a feel or a style as we go through here. So, but any of those film effects, I think it's even something like this. I think those work pretty good. We can come in here. You could do a faded and matte type of a feel to it. So something a little bit along the lines of that one, or even a little bit muted in color. So I think those type of an effect. We could always go in here to our filters, and there's a ton of different things when it comes to your black and whites. We could add some texture to it with the texturizer. So I think that's and then borders. I would definitely go in there and add some type of a border to it. I don't know that we need to go contact sheet because it is medieval times. We don't necessarily. I'm not pretty sure they didn't have the type of film that we have around back then, but maybe something just a little bit of a type of a border here, and I think that can add to the style as well. All right, I'll cancel out of that one, and we'll come back over here. This one, so interesting photo. I'll set it up by the gentleman that sent it in kind of gave me a little bit of backstory on this. He said he had to shoot across the pool. It was at a wedding, and had to shoot across the pool into the sun. There's a little bit of a color shift here and everything. It's a little bit hazy. So the first thing we're obviously going to do is crop it. But what I would say to this person is, one of the things he said is he cloned out the reflection in his wife's glasses. If this is your wife, which means chances are she lives with you, if these are relatives that live on or around or near, and this picture is important too, because remember, one of the things I said about this series is you got to send me your favorite photos. Don't send me a photo like, I give up, I don't care about this one, let me see what he can do with it. This is your favorite photos. I would probably reshoot this. I'm trying to say it in the nicest way possible. It's your wife. You can take a photo of her anywhere. These are people that live close to you, with you, whatever. I'd reshoot it. I think you can do better. Pull the background away from them. Take her sunglasses off. If this is like, hey, this was distant family, they're never going to be together again, I'd say we go into Lightroom here and we crop in severely, and something along the lines of there. We go up here to the basic panel, take the eyedropper, click on the whitish parts of her dress, and that'll neutralize a lot of the color there. Again, we're going to lose some resolution, but that's the fact of what we have here. Go into effects, and I think I might dehaze this one just a little bit. It had a little bit of a haziness to it. Whites and blacks, Option or Alt click on whites, Option or Alt click on blacks. That's about as much as I would do to it inside of Lightroom, other than maybe add some sharpening to it. Increase the radius a little bit. You can't do too much detail, it'll add texture. First thing that we would probably do from here would be, let's head into On1 Enhance. I do want to work with the reflection in the sunglasses here. So we cloned the pool out of there. Let's just take the perfect eraser. I won't spend a lot of time, but you can spend a little bit more time than me and go and just try to get these guys out of there. And if you went into layers, you'd have cloning inside of On1 layers as well, but just try to get out that reflection as much as possible. Head into effects. And I mean, for the photo, I'd probably almost leave it as is. You could go back here, you can go under the presets. I think, again, the faded and matte presets would probably work pretty good here. Here's matte 3. I think that's kind of a cool look to it. I'll also go under, he said it was taken, I think it was taken at a wedding. So I'll go under weddings. And there's some presets under there that'll work. Smooth color pop. That's a cool one. Sunny day. I like sunny day on this photo. You know, it's just, we're gonna kind of go with what we have here. Probably reduce the opacity of it a little bit because I think it's a little bit bright on their skin. You could always even take the masking brush. I wouldn't do it at 100% opacity, but I'd do it about 40–50% opacity and maybe just tone it down off of their skin. All right, especially here, it's a little bit brighter than the rest here. And then we'll add a filter to this one, and of course you know where I'm going. Vignette. Or you can just choose the Big Softy preset here. That'll darken the edges for you. So we'll hit apply. And let's go reset the original photo here. So that's the before photo, and that's the after. Okay, before, after. All right. So folks, you're probably wondering, what's this little thing over here? It's Christmas time. This is Lumpy the Coal. It even makes noises. He keeps me company during the day. I don't know quite how to shut him up, but shut up, Lumpy. There we go. All right, Lumpy's done. Guys, I mentioned it earlier, but check out on1.com/plus. If you're an On1 fan, Lightroom, Photoshop, photography, it's a really unique thing that's coming up here. So basically, I don't want to give away too much, but basically a combination of the apps, combination of video and training and some personal coaching all mixed up together, and something that you'll be able to hang with us for the next year. So I think you'll really enjoy it. Stay tuned. And in the meantime, my name's Matt Kloskowski. Thanks so much for watching, and talk to you again soon.